your host, Brendan Sweeney, aka Brenpancake. We are here with Zack Kulm, and this is
I assume
our
this
first
is going to be heavily edited.
Episode of Pancake Mix. Zack, how's it going? You're an amazing writer. You're a great friend, very great friend. We've been working together for, almost 10 years now. How the hell's it going during this whole coronavirus situation?
Oh, it's been a nightmare. But, I first want to say thanks for having me. We've had a lot of our technical difficulties. I want to first thank our technical specialist, Rick Chung. No relation to,
All right. Audio's good.
Rick Chung.
Audio is
we're
good.
We're good. Yes. This is amazing. I
am so sorry, everyone. I feel like I'm frazzled now. We're both a little frazzled. That's not how we typically are. We're very level-headed guys. And, episode 1, right? It's episode
crazy.
1.
It's crazy because I just told Brendan here exactly what happened during the Kennedy assassination. I laid down some serious truth right now, and I feel like no one was able to hear it, and I feel sorry for all of you.
I'm sending you the latest link. If you want to look at it, you can send it to someone.
I'll send it to my audience.
Yeah, send it to your people, dude.
Yeah, no, they're all on it right now. I'm happy to be here. I don't know why you trust me to be on this, but I'm happy that you do. I tend to lie a lot, but I don't lie about what matters. I
Gotcha.
always tell the truth about conspiracies. And
all right, I'm ready when you are.
Are we live?
Yeah, no, we're live. I'm talking about the game, my friend.
Oh, my start. Okay. I am going to start this, but in any case, well,
we're playing Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled for all the people out there. I just want to know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an early adopter of Crash Team Racing. I played, back in the 90s, the original version, and I always loved it. So I will say that if we do race and we play any of their original locations, I'm gonna annihilate Brendan here. But if we play any of the new ones, I will get my ass kicked. But it's great to be here. I feel like I said some things before, and I don't know if I can even rehash them. I mean, we got into conspiracies, we got into that Jeffrey Epstein case. I told you who really assassinated Kennedy. I told you about the Alan Dershowitz experience. I mean, there's so much truth I laid on Brendan here, and I again feel sorry for every single one of you.
That is very true. I mean, let's take it from the top here. We've had a lot of stuff going on, politically, recently. We have a lot of stuff that we can always look back to conspiratorially. And you were talking about how the word conspiratory is a very vibrant, but at the same time, double-edged sword for our generation.
I would say that,
just start there?
Yeah, I would say that, conspiracy... Okay, so for anyone in the know, conspiracy theorist or conspiracy theory was invented by the CIA after the Kennedy assassination to sort of, kind of paint a crazy picture around anyone who, has the audacity to, question anything that the news or status quo wants to say. For instance, I think the biggest story of our time was the Jeffrey Epstein case, and you really don't get much of that. I mean, you have
got swept under the rug.
You have the biggest
by all
pedophile
of mainstream
ring
media
in all of the world. And this guy's, he's murdered in a prison, and no one's even questioning that. Not even Mayor de Blasio.
With all of these people that have been known to be affiliated with him, close part of his circle, on his planes. It's pretty insane with the list of people that are known to be involved that this guy got away with anything.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting, if you're someone who works at, CNN or Fox News or MSNBC or any of these corporate propagandist stations, and not to... You call yourself a journalist, and you don't want to, cover the most important case of our generation. I think there's something very wrong about that.
Right.
I mean, it's
you
kind
would
of
think
weird.
with all of the, history of supposed journalists, people out there that want to write about all of this stuff that's happening, all of the youth that says they want to do all of this good, there would be more people pushing to try to
we're
capture.
Shane Smith on this one. We're Shane Smith of Vice News on this one.
Yeah.
That's my question.
No one's touching it.
No one's touching it. And, interestingly enough, I think, you have to call these people what they really are, and it's entertainers. You can't consider CNN or any of these other people like actual journalists because, or even
so many
Netflix
of them have
reason.
agents as if they are entertainers,
Yeah, like Sean Hannity or whatever. But actually all of them. Anderson Cooper. Cooper's a Vanderbilt, and he's in the CIA. But you can't talk about that, or you're labeled crazy. Oh. But in any case.
Dude,
I'm also a liar and a grifter.
News.
You can't trust me, but
right. I'll watch. Dang, did we just have a stalemate right there?
I think we may have.
That's impressive.
It's interesting because when you look at Netflix too, you can't it's more about muddying up the waters. And here's my example for that. And again, if you don't like conspiracies or if you don't want to know the truth, turn the channel.
Yeah.
But
wait for the next guest, guys. Wait for the next guest.
Yeah.
Zach's going to be a frequent flyer, guys. So if you're not used to Zach,
you're going to hate this.
There's other channels. So
Jerking Off with Sweeney's not the right podcast for you. That's all I have to say. The Pancake Mix. Sorry, that was the first title. But yeah. Well, interestingly enough,
I just missed whoever's the king or whatever, or the leader.
Are you red team or? Let's hash out something first.
We're not on teams, dude.
We're not. Oh, I'm the red team and you're the blue. I thought I was blue this whole time.
I thought this was free for all this whole time.
No. This is teams. This is how you do it. It's more like a PUBG match.
PUBG, dude.
Dude, you might not know what PUBG is, but for all my
this is nothing like a PUBG match. We're playing.
For all my Asian friends out there.
Crash Team Racing.
No. But I'm saying it's the closest thing because it's like teams and it's like a sport. So for all my Asian friends out there and I'm not being racist, I actually worked at PUBG and I'm friends with all the Asians.
Nice.
There's a difference. But anyway, so I was talking about Netflix. And I was telling you that Netflix is more interested in muddying up the waters than actually reporting real news. And a good example of that for all our friends who are a little into conspiracies, I want to point to the docuseries, the Ted Kaczynski. I don't know the actual title, so you have to look it up. But there's this Ted Kaczynski docuseries where they go through. I watched all 5 episodes, and not one of them gave his motivation. Not one of them referenced MK Ultra. Not one of them referenced the CIA dosing students. None of that was brought up. They're just he just didn't like America. So.
And these are all the ones that you watched on. You said Netflix. Netflix.
So I'm okay. So and then interestingly enough, Netflix is coming out with an Epstein documentary or docuseries, and I can only imagine that you're gonna walk away from this and you're gonna be like, oh, I guess Jeffrey was the main man. He was leading this, and it's no, you got Lex Wexner of L Brands, CEO of Victoria's Secret and all these other companies, who is a known pedophile who, he's a billionaire, so he won't get in trouble. And then you have, people like Alan Dershowitz, who just, again, everyone knows this, and most of all, the intelligence agencies like the CIA, FBI, NSA, Mossad, or any of the Israeli intelligence agencies, they all know. And actually, law enforcement actually help cover all this up.
And so I just want to go back to, how did you get into this whole situation where you were uncovering all of this stuff? It seems like it's a lot of countless nights of research.
I went down so many rabbit holes.
Let's start this match, dude.
Sorry, yeah, let's do this. I went down so many rabbit holes, so many wiki pages, and apparently that's all it took. Apparently that's all it was just, going on a wiki page and reading. No, I actually, it's interesting because I think the biggest phenomenon of our time is since you can't get news from the propagandists out there, the corporate propagandists that I've mentioned earlier, you can only really get real news from the comedians. So it's funny, and I hate to say it, but like this started with like the Daily Show, like back like a decade ago, and then it's sort of like, comedy is almost, since comedy and comedians have picked up where the news entertainers left off because they weren't reporting news. They were actually just like a human resources like conglomerate. So if you want to go and see, if you really want to know what's really happening, like if you want to see what's under the mask, then you're going to have to go to Tim Dillon, you're going to have to go to Joe Rogan, but you're going to get Joe Rogan kind of has to watch a little more than
I feel like
else,
he's started to self-censor himself a bit more, and and that's been recent, and I feel like now we know why he has been. And not to say that he would let the contract of $100 million plus going to Spotify exclusively weigh on his mind, but imagining that that's the case, I can see why he was partially self-censoring himself or being a little bit more timid in certain areas.
You have to watch when you're like someone, because like if he's labeled, because he's doing so good right now, like if he's labeled a conspiracy theorist, or if he's looked at as just hacky, then no one's gonna trust him when he, for anything else. So like, and it's a shame that like you have to rely on these other sources.
Right.
Like I said, Tim Dillon, he has a great Patreon. There's a bunch of different, like Chapo, Trap House. You can and if you, it's all theater.
I know you've been a big fan of The Hill.
The Hill, Crystal and Sagar, and all these different types. Like, because, and again, I want to say, like, the political stuff, nothing really changes as far as policy goes, like economic policy, but like that's why it's, there's a reason why everything's made into a social issue right now, because no one wants to actually, it's more of a, our problems in society deal not with, it's a class issue. It's not a social issue as much. It's poverty. And I know that there's racism out there.
So this is like Team Deathmatch.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Okay.
This is like I said, it's like a PUBG thing. PUBG, you can steal this idea, make this happen.
You just stole my crate, dude.
That's the game. That's the
we
game,
got to do
Brendan.
some racing soon. I want to throw some matches in there.
Yeah, no, we can do that next. But let me tell the audience a thing or two. Yeah. So, well, there's so many places to begin.
Yeah.
So, do you want to know who killed Kennedy, or do you want to know who's behind the Epstein case? Like, and again, there's a lot.
I heard a little bit about the Kennedy stuff, and I know we're not going to have it recorded. But, dude, the Epstein stuff, that's weighing on everybody's mind. There's a lot of people that wants to know more about that, or, quite frankly, have just forgotten that it even happened at this point, since no one's covering it. So, yeah,
I have a little inside knowledge. Yeah, I have a little inside knowledge because my girlfriend actually is a documentary filmmaker, and she was on the set of one of the Epstein documentaries, and there was this one of the victims actually was interviewed, and there was something off about her, and we've interviewed a lot of sexual assault and rape survivors for another documentary we did, so we kind of got an idea of how these survivors sort of have a lot of the same ways that they go about telling a story, or and it's just, you have to watch, because I'm not saying that someone, I'm not saying that there are people. There's a lot of muddying of the waters, let's say. People like to muddy the waters. So, let's be honest. Jeffrey Epstein is not the top of the pyramid here. He was a high school, college dropout, or one of those. He he didn't come from money. He came from a middle class background. He started as a math teacher, and then Bill Barr, if you're familiar with our Attorney General, his father was like the principal or superintendent or something of this like prestigious school, and then that's where things started to take a turn for old Jeffrey, because that's when he started kind of going, going into that world of things where the wealthy start, they're...
I've never heard any of this. I've never gotten into... I've honestly never gotten that deep into the Jeffrey Epstein thing, as insane as it is, But hearing this stuff, it's very interesting.
Well, again, Bill Barr's father was... It's interesting because it's all connected. How interesting is it that Bill Barr, our Attorney General, in this moment in time, the man who pretty much is not pursuing a case against Jeffrey Epstein, his father was friends with Jeffrey, and
interesting.
It's just a crazy, crazy story because somewhere in there he meets Ghislaine Maxwell, who's still on the run, who's still out there. And in fact, I would not say she's on the run. She's probably either in California or South America. And she was the pimp by all accounts. Anyone who was in the know, even the victims will say Ghislaine was the pimp. And Jeffrey was more of he was a fall guy. And you're not going to get justice because there's no one pursuing his financiers. I mean, we're talking about a human trafficking ring where thousands of girls children, boys and girls, were trafficked to the island Little St. James, which, they say was owned by Jeffrey Epstein, but was most likely owned by Lex Wexner, the owner of L Brands and Victoria's Secret. So if you're buying Victoria's Secret, you're supporting pedophiles. But, there's so much going on with the case. There's so much going on with, these cover-ups.
Well, with your research, have you found any recent, movements towards the right answers? Or is it all just held up with legality or what?
So it's not legality. It's a blatant cover-up by intelligence agencies. It's a blatant cover-up by law enforcement. And in fact, not only did they help cover it up, but they help perpetuate it, because the thing about it is it's not just about making money through the human trafficking sex ring, but it's also about control and blackmail. So the intelligence agencies like the whole Epstein thing for the blackmail. And are we doing a race next? Do you want to do a race?
Yeah, I'm down for whatever.
Yeah, I'll back out of here and go to a race.
But just left my game.
Dude, come. Can you just jump into my game?
Yeah, I can go back.
I'm going to a lobby right now.
Yep.
But anyway, so everyone probably recognizes that famous photo of Ghislaine Maxwell, or Ghislaine, or whatever the fuck her name is.
I have no idea. The missing
stupid
woman.
Yeah, that bitch. She has that iconic photo at the In-N-Out Burger, and which is very interesting. It actually looks like it's like north of LA or somewhere. But everyone thought that was like a photo that was just taken spontaneously, but in actuality, that photo was staged, obviously, with the book. And they actually, Seth Rogen, his people actually put an advertisement in the background for his next movie.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot at work. So it actually that picture went through a PR firm before it was released.
Wow.
Because they all think you're stupid. They think every single one of you listening is an idiot. So, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. And on top of that, I mean, again, we're talking about the wealthy of the wealthiest. The Rothschilds. We're talking about the, and I can even tell you, the guy who went missing immediately after Jeffrey Epstein was suicided was Jean-Luc Brunel. Now, Jean-Luc Brunel, look him up, JEAN-LUC-FUCKYOU. I don't know, but that's how you spell his name. And he probably is, a modeling. Like, he owned a modeling agency or something. But Jeffrey Epstein actually once bragged that he received 1,000 kids through Jean-Luc Brunel. And now, within the past week or so, Jean-Luc Brunel quietly sold his assets
Within the past, like, week, like, of today?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot happening in the background. There's a lot, he was missing in South America for, like, months.
Yeah, I see. I'm looking at news right now. Alleged Epstein accomplice Jean-Luc Brunel has been found. That was back in 2019. Seeing what other news I could find on it.
Look up, like, quietly selling his assets. But, like, so there's a few stories from journalists. I recommend following a journalist called Luke Rudkowski. He's been great. He actually stormed the island with a friend after the FBI or CIA or whatever the people. I think it was like New York, like people actually went there. Which there's a lot of corruption in New York, so good luck. But so it's just really interesting when you kind of like look at it and
what do you know about the
what's
cut?
not being talked about?
The Cut, is that a reputable source?
The Cut.
Heard of them? I'm going to send you this article. It just looks like something you'd be interested in.
Yeah, send it. But the thing is, there's so much happening and so much at stake. There's so many people connected, and there's even word that it goes beyond just...
Oh, yeah, it says that happened back in October. I mean, it was reported back in October 1st of 2019 that he quietly sells off his stuff. That was back in 2019.
maybe I'm listening to old sources. Sorry. Like I said, I'm a liar.
I mean, he could have sold off something else recently too. I didn't look at the full title of what it said.
No, that's probably it. But in any case, it's just I find it fascinating that no one has pursued any form of going after the money, following the money. You know how they always say, like, what did Deep Throat say? Follow the money. Yeah, no one's following the money here. No one's going and investigating, who's really behind this. No one's, and people, in fact, people do know who's behind this. People do know it's, Lex Wexner's a big name, but you have to also say what's also happening here. Is it because we're hearing things that it's not just about like pedophilia or the sex thing. It's also about the occult. So, there's a lot of, occult symbolism. I can't talk right now. There's a lot of symbols of the occult around, for instance, the temple, and there's evidence of, more than just pedophilia. There's evidence of actually sacrificing kids or, hurting them and, a lot more. And they're getting these kids from all across the world. I mean, we have to imagine, like, what's going on in the Middle East with the illegal wars that are happening. That, we know that the military is guarding poppy fields in Afghanistan for, these fiefdom, these warlords. But on top of that, what we have is, a lot of human trafficking going on, not only through the Middle East, but throughout the whole world. China, the orphanages, America, Omaha. You can look into the Franklin scandal. I mean, there's books on these, and no one's talking about any of this. So there's the journalists and news media leaves a lot to be desired. Yeah. And I know. Again, this probably sounds crazy, and I know I sound crazy because I'm a liar again. But again. There is so many different things that linking the Epstein case. I mean, it's not Epstein. Like, there's so much more, and no one's prosecuting this.
Is something which you touched base on, maybe in one of our unreleased episode 1 falters when we were having some technical difficulties. Is just what's the hierarchy of this whole thing look like? Where was Jeffrey Epstein in this machine? How high was he? Who's above him? What else is unsaid? What's this stuff, that Jeffrey Epstein didn't even know,
Epstein definitely knew because he's a pedophile and he was actually trafficking these kids. But at the same time, we have to understand that there's a lot of this we may never know or we don't know. I mean, we have to ask, people think that, Trump and QAnon and all this stuff is all, that's almost become a religion in itself, and it's just really...
I'm going to customize my character real quick, but yeah.
When it comes down to it, a lot of people are just muddying the waters. For instance, I was telling you about the survivor that was interviewed, and she put she said Epstein.
Which survivor is this?
Let me find out, because Elena actually was there. Hold on.
Because I watched a survivor on that 60 Minutes Australia where she ended up fleeing Jeffrey Epstein's island in taking asylum in Australia, and that's where she currently lives right now, and she was talking to reporters, so I'm just curious which one. How many have come forward, too?
Okay, thanks. No, I'm good. Give me a water. Shantae Davis. Shantae Davis. So, she said that she basically put everything on Epstein and didn't give anyone else away, and she said Clinton was a perfect gentleman. And we know that some of this is untrue. We know that they're muddying the waters. We know that we know that Epstein's dead, so he's safe to, or we think he's dead. We never seen a body, just like Osama bin Laden. But so what are we left to believe? But in any case, I just find it very strange. I find it very suspect that that this girl is putting it all on Epstein, but she's not referencing the other things we know. And maybe she doesn't know. Maybe that's true. But we do know, Clinton has a dark history with women. He has a lot of people calling him out for his, sexual advances. We know that he's ridden Lolita Airlines on Epstein's Lolita Airlines with him numerous times.
Isn't it over 20 times?
Over 20 times. And how do you... I thought... Why are we not playing? Oh, maybe I have to go to StarCam. See, you shouldn't listen to me. But, so, let me get back to that. So, some people, you have to kind of question where their motives are. You have to question... why is this, Survivor saying that he's a perfect gentleman when the history doesn't line up? I mean, it doesn't make you a conspiracy theorist to say that people around Clinton suspiciously die. It's not, it doesn't make you a conspiracy theorist to say that, people around George Bush suspiciously die. I mean, there's, it's on, you can go and look for yourself. It's true. Now, I believe that, Trump was also part of this. I don't think this is a party thing. So if you make it political, I don't think you're ever going to find the real answer. And I think that's what they want it to go. I think they politicize it because that's the best way to cover it up. Right. So you make it a right versus left thing, and it really isn't. It's about a class thing. It's about wealthy.
Right.
You're not in this?
No, I'm here. I just didn't even notice we were about to play.
Yeah, well, we're gonna lose because, so I find it very odd, again, very suspect that some of these, there's other people saying different things too. Right. So we have to kind of be very suspicious of what we do believe, and we can't. We can't trust the media that's not even investigating one of the biggest cases of our lifetime. And if they don't investigate it, then they're opening themselves up to conspiracy theories, and that's what they want to do. And that's actually what they want to do. That's they're succeeding.
More money, yeah.
Well, no, it'd be more money if they covered it. No, it's they're protecting the people who own them. They're protecting their owners. So again, it comes down to that, and I think we need to really question these things.
Right.
And okay, so you asked me, where does it go from Epstein? Well, let's start with Ghislaine Maxwell. We know that they were supposedly a couple, and we know that they worked together, and we know that the victims referred to her as the pimp. Jeffrey could have been more of a handler, but. So, and let's take it a step back. Who was Ghislaine Maxwell's father? Look that up.
Maxwell's father. Yeah.
He was part of an Israeli intelligence agency who died under mysterious circumstances. He was also a very wealthy man. And you're going to start to notice a theme. When someone makes over $1 billion, they think they're James Bond. And they want to, think they're, they play spy and they play, but not the good kind of spy. The kind of spy who likes to molest children. Funny side story, by the way. William Barr, the Attorney General. Interesting enough, every time he travels, if you look at his travel log, there's a bonobo chimp that goes with him wherever he goes. Okay,
what the fuck?
Isn't that weird?
That is weird.
Now, we know bonobo chimps are the most sexualized members of the ape family and the chimp family. And we know that, William Barr has a predisposition to, the love of chimps. And
interesting. And now we'll talk about that more, the love of chimps.
No, but there's some people like to speculate, and I'm not one of them, but I've heard other people speculate that, William Barr actually has had countless affairs with bonobo chimps. And he's actually has a little bit of blackmail on him, some photos of, sexual encounters with bonobo chimps. I don't know if I believe that, but I've heard the speculation. And I mean, it would make sense for him to go along with, covering up this whole Epstein thing and not pursuing it any further. So I don't know. Again, I'm a liar. I'm a grifter. You don't want to listen to me.
Well, all right. So beyond the whole bonobos chimp and all of this stuff, we were talking about the hierarchy. Jeffrey Epstein is one tier of this whole, what you would say is really well-organized system of something going on, right?
So yeah, I probably should go further. So don't you find it interesting that what connects Donald Trump to Jeffrey Epstein? What connects Donald Trump to Jean-Luc Brunel? Well, Donald Trump ran a modeling competition. What was that? Was it Miss America? Yeah, or Miss Universe or whatever? Probably both. But so both of them have ties to this world. Okay, so there's a good reason why this is being covered up, because it's not going to look good for Clinton. It's not going to look good for Trump. It's not going to look good for the Bush family. It's not going to look good for Tony Blair, the ex-UK Prime Minister. And again, if we talk about the United Kingdom, and if we go back to the 70s, look it up. You don't have to trust me. I'm not asking for anyone's trust. But if you go to the internet and you look up Prime Minister Heath, this is in the 70s. Prime Minister Heath, he was investigated for killing young boys. Because he was, Prime Minister Heath was never married, and there's good. People speculate that he's a pedophile. And it's interesting.
What era is he from?
The 70s, I think.
70s.
I want to say, yeah, the 70s. If you look it up, you'll see it. And
what's his full name?
Prime Minister Heath. I can't. Some Nigel or some dumb twink. UK name, but the thing is,
Prime Minister Edward Heath.
Yeah, there it is.
Sir Edward Richard George Heath, often known as Ted Heath, was a British politician who served as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom from 1970 to 1974.
Yeah,
and was the leader of the Conservative Party from 1965 to 1975.
That means I know everything.
Heath served 51 years as a member of the Parliament from 1950 to 2001.
And a lifelong pedophile.
Dang. And he shortly died after in 2005 on July 17th, which is my birthday. Crazy shit.
See,
right
this
there.
is not coincidence. This is not coincidence. I think numbers. You might be tied to it.
It's all numbers.
In fact, what do you really know, Brendan? Now's your opportunity. What do you really know?
Dude, I know shit.
Did you kill Prime Minister Heath?
Okay.
Type in Prime Minister Heath, either killing a boy or pedophilia. Not that anyone you'll probably be on 10 lists after you type that, but did you Did you hear about this recent bill or whatever that went through that, like, where intelligence agencies can search your browser history?
Yeah, I saw that. So I have something here.
We're losing our liberties, folks. We're losing our liberties. Right in plain sight. And all we're doing is playing Crash Team Racing. That's all we can do. We gotta play Crash Team Racing in order to save our rights, our civil rights.
What'd you say?
We have to play Crash Team Racing in order to save our civil rights.
Dude, we have to play Crash Team Racing all the time. That's just what it is.
Well, now let me blow your mind.
So I had some stuff here with Edward Heath, pedophilia investigation, former UK Prime Minister, would be facing questions, obviously, if he were alive today. But let's see, there's a lot to take in here. Blah blah blah.
Well, I don't like to make associations, but I'm just gonna do it this one time.
Yeah.
Who in American politics is not married and kind of has a weird kind of disposition? Yeah. You know?
Okay.
Lindsey Graham. Think of Senator Lindsey Graham or whatever. He was he South Carolina senator, or Virginia, or one of those racist states. But he's never been married. He's creepy. He looks like a pedophile. So I don't know. I mean, it would make sense, but I'm not going to speculate. I'm only going to put it out there. Anyway, so you asked me originally who is atop of this pyramid. So we're still finding that out, but what we do know is that there's links to Mossad, the Israeli intelligence agency, and so when people talk about the Zionist movement and they talk about like not liking Israel, I mean, it's more than just like rah-rah having sticking up for Jewish people post-Holocaust. There's been a lot of narratives that have been spun after World War I and World War II. I mean, the first narrative that was spun was that, Germans were evil during World War I. And in fact, if you look and you do your research, you'll know that the Allies were the bad guys. Like England and France, like they were not allowing Germany to be able to even trade. They weren't even allowed to, they stifled their growth, and that's what led to the war. And then the UK they're brilliant propagandists.
Yeah, they were pretty much in economic ruin, and then that was Hitler's promise, is the whole, we're going to go to war with people that have put us pretty much since World War I in a position where they were a third world country,
Exactly. So, and I'm not saying Hitler is good, because he's not, but the thing is...
people can't take that out of context.
Right, and then you're not. You're saying that when something bad happens, it leads to more bad because, you're going to get someone like an evil dictator when you're not able to eat or feed yourself, or you can't even. There's no future for you or your people. So, and let's talk about the end of World War I. After even after the Germans surrendered, there was a British blockade and French blockade when Americans were even trying to get food in to help the citizens after the war, and the blockade held up people from getting food into Germany, killing thousands of elderly, children, people who really didn't deserve to die, and no fault to their own, and. Yeah. And these are our allies. These are our allies. So and if you know your history of World War I, you'll know that the Americans never wanted to enter the war. In fact, the only reason we entered the war, and this comes during the Woodrow Wilson administration, after being bombarded by propaganda from the UK Prime Minister and Lloyd George and the French whatever the hell his name is, they're just feeding all this propaganda to the Americans. So Woodrow Wilson, he was like a professor. He was intelligent, but he didn't understand
So we
affairs.
Have a question from the audience. They want to know what the level of truth with your information on Barr is.
About the monkey, yeah, that's true. Everything else, I don't know. But you can look it up. It's out there. This is all. We live in the internet era, so you can look it up. William Barr. Look up his father. Look up, Jeffrey Epstein. You can literally Google it, and you'll know for yourself that 100%. This guy who controls the Justice Department, who could go after if he wasn't a complete scumbag, if he could go prosecute the people. Like, again, if you follow the money, there's a direct tie between Jeffrey Epstein and Lex Wexner, and there's a tie between Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, whose father was like a billionaire, who was a known agent of Mossad, and who worked for the Israeli government and helped blackmail other billionaires and other people of interest in order for to be controlled. Because that's what this is all about. If you ever joined a fraternity, you know that it's all about, like for instance, Skull and Bones. You jerk off on, you do a circle jerk, or you do you have sex with like a pig or something.
Skull and Bones, though. I know you have a lot of research about all of these kind of like underworld clubs and stuff from a lot of your writing, and just research through everything. Do you want to talk about that? Yeah. Is there any influence in which, was there any influences from, past bosses or anything that brought you to this? It sounds like
there's a
lot of questions to be asked here.
I was in Skull and Bones, so I know this. No, I'm the rat. No, I think so I was a part of a fraternity. I was a part of like Delta Chi, and that was more about building leadership, but also we definitely did a lot of like.
I've never
really shit.
For everybody out there, I didn't go to college. I never had one of these like typical, you move away to school and you have.
You're lucky.
Like, what are you talking about? Like going to a fraternity? I never did any of that, so it's very interesting to hear people talk about it.
This will get us up. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's all good. But it's just, I want to hear this perspective that you're about to give when you're talking about, the fraternity and stuff, because I've never actually heard a perspective from someone that's honest, assuming that we might go there. But, yeah.
Yeah. Let me talk about, like, first the meaning of a fraternity, and then, if you want to hear anything specific, we might get in the weeds, and we might get off topic, but that's okay. We don't, whatever.
Off topic? But, there's no such thing as being off topic on this, on the Pancake Mix, everyone. This is the Pancake Mix. All right, keep it going.
Should you read your sponsors? In fact, I think all your sponsors just dropped you. But
probably.
In any case,
it's. In this day and age, how long does it take for you to get deplatformed? Essentially get
one episode.
Well, we
apparently.
learned that the coronavirus, and this, I'm not going to debate anybody on what I think, what I believe, but, there's a lot to be said about what's happening. But it's very
let's be
interesting.
Honest, it's Bill Gates.
It's very interesting that a whole government can tell us that we can't work, but yet we still have to pay bills and do all of this stuff, It's their choice to be able to tell us what's going on. It's a very interesting situation. It's not black and white. There's a lot of stuff overlapping here. There's a lot of things to be said about that stuff. But yeah, I don't want to get off topic. It's just a very interesting time to be alive.
It's a horrible time to be alive, let's be honest. And I frankly can't stand it. So when I'm eventually murdered by the Illuminati, thank God. You're doing me a favor, pals. Who wants to live in a world where the wealthy can live and do whatever as they wish, and they have some
this plant. Sorry.
That's because you have to kind of maneuver the turn.
I know. I can never make that turn. It's the hardest turn on this map for me.
We're gonna be last every time, but it's okay.
Are we on hard or are we on medium?
Yes, we're on
no
hard.
wonder.
I made this impossible.
Dude, medium's hard enough.
Yeah, I know. We're not as good as like South Koreans, and it's not an Asian thing because you can be white or black or anywhere.
Do you think
from South
that
Korea.
People are playing this in like South Korea? This game, or are they playing like?
No, they're playing. What are they? They're playing Tetris in World of Warcraft. But I think.
Like, yeah, what's the demographic for this game? Like, how far does it stretch? Like, what countries
like
are? Do you think there's playing like Do you think there's someone in like Nigeria right now with like a PS3 or PS4 like playing this game? Like how it's you know.
I beat you, and that's all that matters.
Dude, this is impossible, man.
I'm not really paying attention, but I will say, I'm racking up coins, as you can see. I'll buy lunch next time because look at this. Man, that was a shit joke. See, I'm horrible. Don't listen to me.
All right, everybody, today's
me.
sponsor, I don't even know how to say this brand, Stussy Stussy, I don't know. Great streetwear brand. Everybody knows streetwear is where it's at. Zach and I, we're always into that lo-fi hip-hop scene. Just throwing, you know, an old dodgeball against a door in downtown LA. I feel like that's what we're always up to on the weekend, you know what I mean? So, it is Saturday. We decided to game it out on this Saturday. And isn't it weird that it doesn't feel like Saturday? Days literally have no meaning anymore.
Yeah, it's very odd. It's very odd. Like I said, before the crisis, I didn't know when a Saturday was anyway. So this isn't that.
Yeah, I feel like you're a lot more used to this since you typically do most of your work from home, which is very impressive. I feel like you've gotten yourself in a good position with that recently, and that's a very big step, especially for LA and everything that's happening right now in terms of film production, and you know, a lot of people out of work, which is insane, with really no end in sight as of yet.
No, it's. It's very suspect. I mean, let's look at like how the world's handling coronavirus, and let's look at how America's handling coronavirus. I mean, you know, as far as like the healthcare system, testing, there's very minimal testing sites, very little investment. You know, if you notice, Steve Mnuchin, I can't say the scumbag that runs. They used to be part of Goldman Sachs. He was all, you know, gung-ho for passing a stimulus bill, and you know, as long as they could give $1 trillion to the corporations and the big businesses, and even the lobbyists, because you know, screw you as Americans. They're going to give money to lobbyists because lobbyists actually do something, not like you working your 9-to-5 job like a fucking like lech. Like these people, they're working hard, whining and dining politicians to, you know, get your hard-earned tax dollars because, really, you guys can't govern yourselves, let's be honest. But let's get back to, we're still on hard. It's like life right now.
It is life. I just get pummeled immediately.
Should I restart it?
No, it's okay.
Medium?
No, it's okay. Fuck, and then I get eaten by these damn fucking flowers.
If we get like in a top 3, we're gonna feel pretty good.
I know, this is how you get better though, right? It's like 2-a-days. The first couple days are rough, but then eventually you get into the grind here.
Ooh, someone played football.
For all my football fans out there, here we go, eaten by the fucking plant again. God damn it,
dude. But yeah, so it's really a messed up system with the coronavirus, and then you hear people who are like starting to question Bill Gates, but at the same time, people like, can you really blame people when they're not really getting answers for other things? So when people are like, excuse me, when people are like, dang,
I'm so far behind.
Oh yeah, why Bill Gates, he gave us Windows 98. Why would Bill Gates is just an entrepreneur. He wants to help people. Yeah, well, you know what? Bill Gates also made sure that like Windows was like on every system. Didn't give anyone an opportunity.
Yeah,
like,
he went to court for that.
Yeah, you want to speak about this?
That was like one of the last major corporations that went to court for essentially pulling off a monopoly. Well, I can't say that word.
Here.
I mean, dude, it's just, what was it? They optimized, I want to say, stuff on their browser. Stuff wouldn't work on other people's browsers, and they said that it was compatible for everybody, and none of this was true, and they de-optimized some stuff. I can't remember the exact logistics of what happened.
Sounds very familiar. Sounds like it might be sort of... Hey, do you remember when, do you remember, like, when social media platforms are deplatforming people and not allowing certain news sources to...
Wow, at least I made 7.
I'll get the trophy next time.
Damn,
yeah.
Dude. I got third, I think. But anyway, yeah, let's hear from our audience. Oh, okay, so someone in our audience right now wants to know who else was part of the Epstein pyramid. Well, good question. Thank you for asking that. Who was that?
That was Chester.
Chimichanga69. Good question, Chimichanga69. Yeah, I want to say outside of Lex Wexner, outside of Ghislaine Maxwell, outside of all the intelligence agencies, we can only assume that a lot of politicians vote a certain way and act a certain way and, serve their superiors in a way, and you're not their superior. You might vote them in the office, but you're a sucker. What they're really doing is, a lot of them are blackmailed because a lot of them are just horrible people and opportunists and strong, and they're careerist driven. They're career driven, and these types of people don't really care about you. They care about me. So you have to kind of question. Like again, if you look up the Franklin scandal, if you look up some of these cases, you're going to notice that there's a lot of politicians. And again, I'm not talking about local government. I'm talking about like senators. I'm talking about the people running for high office. These are the people who aren't serving you. They're serving the companies, the corporations, because at the end of the day, America is just the corporation is considered a person in America. You're barely considered a person. But
yeah.
Corporations like Walmart, Hillary Clinton served on the board of Walmart. And guess what? After coronavirus, don't you find it very strange that all the small businesses that were competing with these large corporations are going to go under?
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Exactly, yeah. It is interesting.
Sorry, I feel like I'm like... I need to drink some water.
No, it's all good.
I think Epstein's getting to me.
You're covering... I mean, dude, with all of these people that, they seem to die suspiciously, you could be next on the list.
Well, I mean,
right,
I don't know anything. I'm just repeating information I'm just repeating information that I've heard at other places, but... it all makes sense once you kind of think about it. Because after a while, when you think of it, no one's really altruistic. Everyone's driven by motivations. Everyone's driven by their own self-interest. And if you think people aren't, then you're an idiot. And I'm sorry. I don't mean to be mean about that, but you're a fool.
Ready up on the
think
map. People
aren't motivated.
Bro, put us on Medium. Are we on Medium now? For fuck's sake.
Yes, I swear. We're on Medium.
I've been literally in the last place this whole time.
I swear this is a video game podcast.
I had more fun playing the Battlefield 1 menu than I've had playing hard on CTR so far. I think you know what we actually need to do, and I think most importantly, everybody knows what Crash Team Racing is, but you found a really nice hidden gem on the PlayStation Store called BROFORCE, which I've actually told some friends about and told them that they should download it. And I think that would be a great opportunity to start a new campaign, you and me, deep in the trenches on BROFORCE. We give this episode 1 the treatment that it needs with a very novelty game, but not novelty in a bad sense of the word. It is an amazing game. What did you say?
I love where your mind goes. I think that you said it right there. BROFORCE, it's classic. It has that feel of an arcade game, but it's also
it takes itself serious as a game though.
It gets the weapons right, and it gets the it gets the personalities. Like, you're gonna get all your favorite action heroes from MacGyver to Blade,
right,
and everyone in between, and it's just a fun game for the family. I mean, you kill some people, do it for America, even though America's evil. You have to support your country, because if you're not going to support your home team, then you're a dick.
That's true.
You have to support your country, even if they are not, some sort of war-mongering entity. You still have to support them.
Yeah.
Because if you're not a patriot, then you're a traitor. Right?
Dude, I have no idea.
Well, I mean, like, when you think about it, again...
I'm
like,
sorry, I'm, like, entrenched in this map. You picked the hardest map.
This is, like, the easiest map, dude. If you know the
Yeah,
shortcut.
but you're a veteran CTR guy here.
I am. I actually... I don't have a life, so when I was... I'd be playing classic mode. Even on the PS3, I bought the classic mode CTR.
Yeah, you had the OG CTR for the PS3.
And
You've been repping that thing for a while.
I have. I've gotten to the point where I was just, like, literally just playing that every night. Just as my eyes glossed over, dried up, they were bloodshot, my hands were clammy, sweating, to the point where my controller was basically melting from, like, the sweat on my hands.
Yeah.
And that's how I knew that that's the only way I can compete with a Korean. And I still can't do it. I don't know. I mean...
Nice, I just went out of bounds.
Yeah, once you're in the grass, you're bad.
It just made the Oogada Boogada guy, or whatever his name is, came and got me.
Oh, yeah?
What's his name? The Mask?
No, you're right, Ooga Booga. I honestly think he's Ooga Booga. That's how I... Cause
I just always know the noise he makes.
Yeah, it's like a Pokemon. It's like a Pokemon. It's like a...
Oh, nice. I just got fucking... You're done.
Mr. Mime, whatever. Showing my age.
I'll get that trophy next time.
Yeah, I'm showing my age. It's interesting. I'm a huge fan of... I never liked the first Crash game. I thought that was too hard and not really that fun. But once they got to Crash 2 and Crash 3, Crash 4...
Yeah, dude, the Crash games fell off quick. It was really only CTR that kept the franchise going, in my opinion. That's a game that is way more nostalgia than it ever was fun. When I was a kid, I never beat a single one of them. And when I went and bought CTR, I had the option for, like, an extra $1, you got the whatever it was, the remastered or whatever the fuck they did with them, and I downloaded them. I played the first level of Crash, and I was like, this is stupid. It's I don't know, it's just not a game for me. It's more like leave it in the past, I guess. I don't know.
No, I totally agree.
Besides
I think that,
CTR, even the OG version of CTR is dope still.
Just imagine how many Nintendo fans are just smacking their head off the screen going, like, you idiot! CTR sucks, Nintendo's so much better. And, you know, our friend Bob Spurburgers is one of those people, and to him I have to say, go fuck yourself, because really, if you can't see the superiority of Crash Team Racing over Mario Kart, then, you know, sorry about you.
Did you just... Are we still in the same... Oh, it looked like I...
No, are we gonna do BROFORCE?
Oh, shit. Yeah, let's do BROFORCE. Yeah, fuck